Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly episode for Tuesday, May the 31st, 2022, and it's episode 169. Well, it's been a fun few days because, as you know, if you've seen my vlog or watched Stephen and Walter live this past week, you'll know that I got my new baby, my MacBook Pro, and I'm having a lot of fun with the technology. Do you see the look on my face? Yeah. I know it will come with time, but there is a learning curve when you're going from a PC to a Mac. Yeah, things don't work quite the same. And I've been struggling with this kind of thing, doing my vlogs and whatnot. I bought the Mac. One reason I bought the Mac is because it's supposed to do a much better job when it comes to editing videos and things like that. And yes, it does. But again, learning curve. So excuse me if something goes awry today during today's broadcast, because the way I'm doing it today is not the way I eventually want to be able to do it. So let's just jump right into my other projects, which some of these have been put on hold. So I'll just go up here. What you're seeing here is something I've made before. This is the second one. This is the Celtic Knot Table Runner, and it's in the hoop embroidery project. Now, I'm making this one for a couple of reasons. A few of my subscribers have written to me and said they'd like to see some videos about using your embroidery machine for in the hoop kind of designs. Now, I thought about this, and the reason I haven't done it sooner is because, well, there's lots of videos on YouTube about that. But I decided, okay, maybe I should try something like this. So I am. So I'm in the process of creating this video, and it is not done yet. It'll probably go up later this week. I have 1,000 things to do this week. I'll try. This is part of it. This is not the whole project. That's just letting you see how far I've gotten so far with it. And I hit the wrong button. This is the button I want. Okay, and let's go here. Yes. Okay. So this, sorry, the picture's a little blurry. This is one I made some time ago. It actually isn't in grays. It's in purple and silver. But for some reason, I got a color shift when I took this picture. But it gives you an idea of what I'm creating with this other one here. I am videotaping. There's a blast from the last century. I am recording this as I do it. As I said, so you can see what the process is. Now, I had to figure out my technology for this, of course, but I think I've got that figured out. So I may do, if you like this when it comes up, let me know. If you like this kind of video, I may make some more down the road. I'm not going to do it on like a weekly basis because it takes a lot of work to do this. And this video is going to be about an hour long when it's done. As well. So yeah, so what I'm saying is I'm trying this out. Some people have requested it, and you know, I listen to your suggestions and to your constructive criticisms, and if it's something I think I can do, I will give it a go. So please bear with me. I will try to get this up and we'll see how this works out. But like I said, it may not be for a day or two. Okay, and let's see if I can swipe over to my next picture. Okay, speaking of quilts from hell, I wasn't, but I was thinking of them. This is that with Glowing Hearts one by Northcott, and you remember if you look at the first set of blocks on the left-hand side of your screen, I think it's your left. Yes, it would be your left. That's the ones that when I made them, they didn't come out the right size. I was having all kinds of problems with the 1/4 inch seam allowance, the 1/4 inch foot. Well, I think I have that problem now solved. And I redid the block and they now come out perfectly. So I've gone to the second block. You have to make 2 of this block and you have to make 2 of this other block, and there's other blocks in the series as well. And it turned out okay as well. But this is why I'm not liking this quilt. There is a lot of cutting, a lot of little pieces. And my heart just isn't in this one, but I do want to get it done. But this is going to be one of those projects that's going to take me quite some time. I was hoping I could probably have it done by July the 1st. That's Canada Day for us. But I don't think I'm going to be able to. I'm also working on several other projects. It's a lot of projects right now. So anyways, that's as far as I've gotten. They are very nice looking blocks, but they are very complicated blocks. And you know, you often hear that. People will say, oh, The block looks complicated, but is very, very simple. This one looks complicated and is complicated. So moving on, I did get my order from a Quilter's Apothecary or Quilting Apothecary, my very expensive fabric after the UPS fiasco where they charged me an extra $60 to get this sucker across the border. And we talked all about that on So Chatty in the last episode. So if you want to know the ins and outs of UPS these days, check that out. Walter did some research and came up with some interesting information. And the link to So Chatty for that episode is in the show notes below. But anyways, here's the fabric, and it is fantastic fabric, I think. But as I said, it cost me a lot more than I was expecting to pay, and that had nothing to do really. Well, it did have a little bit to do with Jamie Wallen's website, but it has to do with the shipping primarily with UPS. They're crooks. They're just crooks. Anyways, I don't know what I'm going to make these into yet. Have to wait and see. But I'll have to wait and see if I can find what I always say, a pattern that is quilt worthy or quilt worthy or fabric worthy, whatever. Okay, and yes, Christmas came a little early. Stitch in the Ditch, a Canadian company out west, were having a clearance sale, and I took a look, and they had several things on the clearance sale I was interested in. Of course, you can see the gnome theme happening here, and you know how I love gnomes. So I picked up some Christmas gnomes, and I picked up this one that's in the background that has the months on it. I guess so it's a gnome for every month. And I also picked up this laser cut applique kit, which means that all the pieces are already cut out and already have fusible webbing on the back of them. So, you know, you can get it together pretty quickly. I'm sorry, I have the hiccups. And so I'm thinking that that fabric with the gnomes of the months on it might be a nice background to this little gnome. Another project, when will I get to it? Don't know. And I bought a charm pack of Christmas gnomes as well. Funny thing about that charm pack is it didn't say it was flannel. It sort of feels flannel-like, but we've determined that it is not. It is quilting cotton. It just has a very flannel-y feel to it. Kind of weird. And that little black thing that's sitting there did not come from Stitch in the Ditch. Walter gifted this to me. He ordered a couple of them. I guess he saw something like this and got one that holds your needles, your hand sewing needles, and it's like a lipstick tube. You take that black thing off, you twist the bottom, and your needles pop up and out. And kind of cool. It's a novelty item. But he found this one online, and it was a little better than the one he bought originally, so he bought two, gave me one. I don't do a lot of hand sewing, as little as possible, but I did put my hand sewing needles in it because, if anything, it's a great container for keeping them in one spot and finding them. So it has a magnet in it. That's how it works. Just don't mix it up with your loop. If you put it in your purse, don't mix it up with your lipstick tube, and be mindful. You really don't want a face full of needles, when you're thinking you're putting on your lipstick. So I think that's all I have in pictures there. Yeah, it is. So let's go back to me. There I am. And so another thing that I've had some people asking me about again, I have a lot of new subscribers now, so they've asked me to show my sewing area. Now, those of you that have been with me for a long time, and if you've been with me for a very long time, you remember the transition I went through moving my sewing room out of, which is now Lucy's room, the long arm, from what I used to call my sewing dungeon into this room that used to be my craft room. And I had to get rid of a lot of things and reorganize a lot of things, and that took a while to do. Several weeks. Months. Maybe. Anyways, it is still kind of, it's not a work in process. It's a work of reorganizing. You think you can put your things in certain spots and that will be their permanent home. But as you get working in your space, you find certain things are not where they are most convenient for you to reach. So I have been constantly reorganizing things to get it a little bit more streamlined. So I thought I would show you the craft room. So those of you, my sewing room. So those of you that are new, this will be a first time for you. For those of you that have been around for a while, you will notice I've made a few changes too. So I'm going to insert that video here. And just a warning, today's video is going to be a little longer than usual because of things like this that are in here. So, you know, you get bored, move fast forward ahead or whatever. So I'm going to insert the video of my sewing area in here right now.
This week, in way of a demo, I thought I'd show you or take you on a tour of my sewing room. Now, those of you that have been with me for quite a while have seen this, and in fact, some of you, longtime subscribers, saw the transformation of this room into my sewing room, because originally this was my crafting room. And I basically gutted it and got rid of all of my crafting supplies and replaced all of those with my sewing supplies. So I'm going to take you on a quickie tour. So we're going to start where we come downstairs. Now, my house is a raised bungalow. So this is technically my basement, but the basement, for the most part, is above ground. So I have a lot of windows and full-size windows, and I get a lot of light, natural light through them, given the time of day. And you can see in this area right here, I have my computer set up, and I have a very large screen here and my computer below, and this is where I make all my videos for the most part, and I have a iPad off to the side as well. I'm a very high-tech person. Over on this wall I have another computer and monitor system, which is basically when I'm working at my sewing machine, I will put on podcasts or vlogs, YouTube videos, and have them playing in the background while I'm working. This, of course, is a separate area from, well, it's part of the sewing room, but it's my 3D print mill, and that's a discussion for another day. In this set of drawers here, and I'm just showing you some storage area, I keep all of my embroidery threads, and I do have a lot of storage space in this room by design. And as you can see, there are lots and lots of tiered shelving, and of course I have my cupboards. And so I've got a lot here. I also put some of my 3D prints as decorations in the room, all over the room actually, as you can see. And again, more storage down here. So I have pretty much every available space packed with storage. These boxes, for example, here are project boxes, and they're all labeled. And these are things that I'm about to get started on or will eventually. And on this far wall, which is where I have this quilt hanging right now, this serves many purposes. I sometimes will hang a quilt on this, if I can fit it here, for taking pictures of it to show you. Behind that is my fabric storage. Just pull this down so you can have a closer look at that. So this is where I keep most of my fabric. I like to have it out on display for a couple of reasons. One, if it's on display, then you know what you've got, because if you tuck it away in a drawer or in a container, you tend to forget about it, out of sight, out of mind. And it also looks pretty. Kind of gives some, you know, a little bit more to the decor. Also, you'll notice there's all these command hooks on the edge of the top shelf. These are really handy for hanging things up, like my quilt, or I have a portable design wall that just unfolds and clips up there, because I really don't have any space, any wall space in this room to hang up a permanent design wall. So when I need it, I'll just hang it from those clips. And those clips really serve for hanging like blocks, as you can see, or things that I'm working on up there as well. So I know where they are. They're out of danger, out of harm's way, so to speak, and also they're there. Like, oh yeah, I should be working on that, like those blocks right there. In the center is my cutting area, and you can see it is a very large area. And on either end of the area, I have my sewing machines. I have my main sewing machine at the far end. That is my M7, Janome M7. And this is my Janome 550E embroidery machine at this end. And I also have this magnetic bar that holds the scissors and tools that I use most frequently when I'm doing machine embroidery. Also in this unit, down here on both sides, you'll find sets of drawers. This is just from IKEA. It's Alex drawers, and I put an IKEA top on it, and I have this very large piece of 3/4 inch or 1 inch plywood that I covered in a canvas material, and that serves as my desktop as well as my supports my cutting mat. And I have a very large Martelli cutting mat, as you can see. So as we move over here, I have a light box underneath that tray, and these are some patterns that I want to get on with. I have a lot of patterns all over this room. My clips, my little garbage can, 3D printed, and you know, the tools like my scissors, my rotary cutter that I reach for regularly. Again, this little rack that I hold these in, I made this on my 3D printer. 3D printing is very useful. So over on this side, this is my ironing station. And I have a couple of wool mats. Again, these are on top of canvas covered plywood, which is the same technique that I've used underneath my cutting mats. And the reason those are there is that they serve multiple purposes. First of all, when you are ironing on a wool mat, and if you use steam, it will go right through the wool mat, and whatever's underneath it is going to get wet. So this protects my little table that is here. The table also has storage for my stabilizers and miscellaneous other things underneath it. And I have baskets that have some of my specialty rulers in them, and others that have basting spray and other, bric-a-brac, things that you need when you're quilting. Along this wall, this is my vision board, which you've heard me talk about before. Probably not the best name for it, because a vision board usually means where you put up samples of fabrics or colors or things that inspire you. Well, I put patterns up here and a few other miscellaneous things. It's kind of a catch-all for, future projects and things like that. I also have command hooks on the wall to hold other pieces, rulers, things like that. And I am a great believer in using command hooks for a lot of things. They are one of the most essential tools in my sewing room because they have multiple purposes. Also, I use them so often that I buy them in bulk from Amazon. Of course, over here I have more lighting, and the lighting in my room, and can you ever have too much light? I don't think so, but you'll find lights all over here. I have overhead up here, and I have, these aren't on right now, but I have lights from my shelves. And most of these lights in this room are all controlled by my phone or by remote control. Because some of the lights are in areas that aren't as easy to get your hands on, a little awkward, like that corner there. I'll come back to that corner in a minute, but here you see a stained glass window. Here you see a stained glass window. And over here, another stained glass window. And those were all made by my husband, Walter, because he used to do stained glass. And I wish he'd get back into it, but it's a question of space and where to do it. And now that he sews garments, I don't think his interest lies so much in stained glass, but they are custom made. He designed them, he made them for me, and I just think they add a lot to my room. Now in this area here, this is where I have reference books, and I have my AccuQuilt dies are all here, and more magazines and things like that, all quilting related. And I have a couple of carts from IKEA. Well, one's actually from IKEA, the other one I think came from Michael's. But these are project carts, and I keep current projects that I'm working on, like the block of the month that's right there right now, or kits, things like that. And they're very easy to roll out and have access to, and you can roll them up close to my pressing area or to my sewing machine area. In this area is my travel machine. This is the machine I'll take if I take a class or go on a retreat. It's a Janome S7. I really love this machine. It's great. I don't use it that much because, as I said, it's my travel machine, but it sews very, very well. And below that, I have more rulers, ones that are more specialty rulers. There's a chair here. I'll just move that out of the way. And there's ribbons and things like that. And more cutting mats, more rulers, larger ones, and some design boards as well. And again, my 3D prints are all in here, and some of my past life artwork as well on that bulletin board. more shelves, or more cupboards, I mean, here as well, which have other things. They do have some of my crafting supplies that I held on to when I was purging this room. And above that, I have some little things from my paper crafting days just there on display. Just fills in that space. More drawers, plastic drawers with various things. And you'll notice I label everything. And yes, maybe I'm being a little OC here, but it helps me find things when I need them, because I never know where I've put some of this stuff. So just, if it's labeled, then I know that's where it should be. Of course, this is my serger. Sits over there. I don't use my serger a lot because I don't sew garments and things like that, and that's really what a serger is more geared towards. But it's an air thread by Janome. It's a great serger, easy to thread, and yeah, I'm glad I have it. So here is my main sewing machine, and this is my setup here, as you can see. And I did recently buy, and I reviewed this on one of the past Idiot Quilter episodes, my Janome, actually it's made by Arrow chair, and I love this chair. And you also notice that I raise my foot pedal up because I find that's a little easier on my back and on my legs. And more storage under here. In these drawers I keep the things I most readily reach for, like bobbins, things like that. This is a little caddy right here for holding essential tools. Again, I made this using my 3D printer. And you'll notice I have another iPad here, which I usually use when I'm involved in a Zoom on a pop-up sew day or craft and chat, so I can monitor my Zoom link. And over here is something very interesting. Yes, it's a drawer, but I open this drawer out, I take this away from here, it fits right in this spot, it's anchored in there, and I now have an extended table. It helps, it's not really level with this table, it drops down about 6 inches, but it keeps the weight of a big quilt when I'm binding, or even if I'm doing some domestic machine quilting. It keeps the bulk up off the floor and allows you to more freely move your project under your needle. That was just something I found I did by chance. It wasn't by plan, it just worked out. Below here I also have more storage, which has stabilizers and other things, bag making supplies, things like that, and more drawers. And of course my printers. I have 2 printers for my computer system here. So this is basically the setup of my sewing area. I try to keep it fairly neat, but you know how that goes, right? As sewers. And I do have some of my quilts on display as well on the walls and over on the far side. So I hope that you found that interesting. I know a lot of people like to see other people's sewing setups, and I'm very happy with mine. It gives me lots of room, lots of storage to work on my projects. So yeah, that's it. So that takes me to the subscribers quilt of the week, and this comes from Craig Harlow. Some beautiful creations, and so let's take a look, shall we? This week I'm featuring one of my subscribers' great creations, and this is not a quilt, but it is a shirt. And this is what Craig Harlow, who sent this picture along of his creation, says. 2018, I pinned so much fabric of the shirt to the back of a dress form, it looks a bit wonky. The form is a size 36 and the shirt is a 2XL. Well, I can dream, can't I? The rest are fun things I've made since. I don't really take many pictures of my sewing. I'm not sure what the other things are that he's speaking of, but the shirt is fantastic. Very professional looking. And I guess it's called the Islander, according to the pattern that he has below. And I see that he has a Juki machine, which he must have sewn this shirt on. But very, very nice, very well tailored, very professional. So thank you, Craig, for sharing this with us, just to show that men can sew too. The YouTube segment for the week comes from someone who is no stranger to the Idiot Quilter, quilting, quilter, whatever I am, Rented Lips.
You can see what all this new technology is doing to me because my brain's going, what do I have to hit next? What do I have to hit next in here? But anyways, back on track. Shirley Heineman, who I have interviewed, did an Idiot Quilter Presents a couple of weeks ago, and I have looked at her YouTube site, reviewed that as well. Well, she has a new video up on her YouTube site, and her YouTube site is called AroundToIt. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It'll be in the show notes. And it's about how she makes her design boards. And in fact, we were talking about this on a craft and chat last month with Shirley, and I decided I would make some myself as well. Now, I don't do it exactly the way Shirley does because Shirley is a sewer, quilter, crafter, artist as well, and her design boards are very beautiful. But I didn't tend to spend as much time on mine. They do what I want them to do, but they're not as pretty as Shirley. So here's her video. Here's my review of that segment so you'll find out more about it. This week's YouTube segment comes from AroundToIt, which is by Shirley Heineman, who is a friend of mine and also a fellow member of the Quilter's Way. And she has her own YouTube channel, which I have reviewed before, called AroundToIt. And she just did a demo on how to create design boards. And she does a fantastic job of explaining how she goes about doing this. Now, her design boards are a little bit more elaborate than the ones that I make, but they are both attractive. And I even suggested to her that she sometimes or she could just hang them up on a wall somewhere with some of her block pieces she's working on as a decor element in her sewing room. But either way, they're very functional, very well made, and this is an excellent video tutorial showing you how to put it together. Shirley explains each step very clearly and has very clear video segments showing you how to assemble something like this. Now, design boards are very important for quilters. They're a very handy item to have, especially if you don't have a design wall. And they're great for keeping your pieces organized and makes it really convenient for getting all your pieces in the right order next to your sewing machine when you're sewing them. So if you've never made a design board before, check this out. And that takes me to what's on my vision board this week. A pattern called Orbit by a designer called Becky Tillman Peterson. It is a free pattern. You can download it. I have the link in the show notes below. And well, here's what it's all about. This week's pattern that's on my vision board is a free downloadable pattern. It's in PDF format and it's called Orbit. And you can see that the measurement of it is 104 by 104 inches. So that's a really good sized quilt, pretty much a queen. And the color scheme that's been used here is very, very pretty. And I think this is probably a quilt that you could use scraps for as well. Of course, you know, I'm always attracted to stars, so that's what caught my interest here. But I do like the other blocks that are also in the design. The pattern looks like a very simple explanation of how to do the two blocks that are in this. They measure 12.5 by 12.5, so that's a really good size. So I think this quilt will go together pretty fast. It is a pattern that is designed by a designer by the name of Becky Tillman Peterson. And as I said, it's a freebie, and I have included the link to this pattern in the show notes below. So yeah, in fact, I think this quilt might be one that would be very easily done with not just scraps, but with fat quarters as well. I'll have to explore that further when I get to it. Whenever that will be, I don't know. So that's Orbit. It's a free downloadable pattern, and the site for it is in my show notes below. Now, I do have an interview for you this week, and this is with a really interesting person, and she goes by the name Future Cat, and that is her YouTube channel as well, and she's from New Zealand. So here's a little teaser of this interview for you. How long have you been quilting?
Yeah, not much longer than you, I would say. I started quilting in 2013. I'd had a messy breakup and I just wanted to reinvent myself. And so I thought, I'm going to go and learn some new hobbies. So There was a craft shop that offered hobby classes, and I went along to a whole load of different things, and one of them was quilting, and I thought, this is it. I found the hobby that I want to do from now
Yep.
on.
I think that's what happened to me too, the same way. And I notice you have a creation on the wall behind you that looks very, very interesting. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
That is, my mother is a paper crafter, and she's recently got into Inktense pencils. I don't know if you've...
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Wonderful. And I learned from someone in my quilt guild that you can use those on fabric. So at Easter, I was down visiting, and I said, would you mind if I just had a little play with your pencils, and started experimenting on fabric, and ended up with the whole family all playing with the pencils and drawing shapes. And we realized that you could also stamp onto fabric.
And so that brings us then to the online quilt shop for review this week, and it's called Keystone Modern Creative, and it's out in Western Canada. This week's online quilt store is called Keystone Modern Creative, and this is located in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And this is their front page of their website. So let's just take a look what information we have here. They have free shipping on orders over $200 for Canadian addresses only. And they're talking about being at a quilt show in Regina. I guess that's May the 5th to the 7th. So we missed that. That's over with. So let's just carry on down. Again, $5 shipping weekend, the 21st to May 23rd. Well, at the time of recording that, I've missed that. New arrivals. Deb Tucker Studio 180, they feature. More new arrival. Flutter. And some other things here that look quite interesting by Northcott, Bonnie Lemaire, fabrics. Lots of new arrivals. They have thread, things that are back in stock. Yeah, there's quite a bit here on their front page. So let's go up to the top again, and let's go to fabric and see what we have to offer here and what they sell it in terms of length, whether it's yards or meters. Okay, they have Kona cotton, Bella solids, Century solids. You can buy fabric Kona by the bolt, Harmony, Essex. My Canada. I love the My Canada series from Northcott. City Lights. Okay, I'm looking at their prices here. They have things on sale, $14.99, $9.99. That's for a panel. Tula pink. City Lights, I had some of that, made a quilt out of that. Looks like they have bundles, pre-cuts, and various prices. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm having to, there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to how this is laid out on here, and there's 10 pages of this. So can I do a search? Is there another way to find this? I'm looking over at the left-hand panel. They have collections, but they only show one, this Khitan. Okay, that's kind of pretty fabric, but that seems to be the only thing they're listing under collections. Category, cotton prints, say 40%. Okay. So essentially, it doesn't look like it's very well organized. It looks like it's just thrown up as it comes, and you've got to do some searching. And you know how that bothers me. I don't like that. I like something a little more efficient in terms of organization for finding what I want. But if you're a browser, you may like this. Okay. Oh, wait. I spoke too soon. Hover over fabric, and you do find it. Classified. Okay, so sorry about that. I take that information back. So I want to check out how they do their fabric. Let's go for Northcott Let's look at Enchanted Seas. I think that's a relatively new line. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Okay. 424, 16.96 per meter, but then they have yardage price, and the price is different for meter and yardage. But we're only talking the difference of 3 inches between a meter and a yard. And they're saying it's a whole dollar. If you buy it by the yard, it'll be less by about $1.30. That is interesting. I've never seen that before. So let's just click on one of these because they've got 424. I'm assuming that's a quarter meter. Do they tell us? Fabric is sold by a quarter meter, 10 inches. A quarter meter is not 10 inches. Well, I'm nitpicking. So they're rounding it up, I guess. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, all right. Again, a little weird. A little weird. I've never seen this on another website before. Okay, so 424 for a quarter. So yeah, 16.96 per meter. That's not bad. That price is okay. That's a little less than the average, I would think. So, okay. Let's take a look. They also had pre-cuts. Let's check out fat quarter bundles. And we have 68 products in this category, it says. So I'm assuming we have a good selection. $54.99, $49.99. Huge fat quarter pack for $249. Mystery bundles. Well, they look like they have a fair amount to choose from, and price-wise, not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah. They seem to have a very good selection. And the prices seem fair. Okay. So what else under fabric? Anything else we want to take a look at? No, I think that gives us a good idea. Batiks. Banyan Batiks, which are by Northcott, I believe. And let's just see what the price is on batiks. In about the same for yardage or meterage. So that's okay too, because oftentimes batiks are a little bit more expensive than regular printed. And they have the collections listed on the side. Okay. Well, I'm glad that I hovered over fabric because that gives me a good idea of what I can find. So much easier than just browsing. Notions, they have thread, glide thread. They have Aurifil. Okay, let's take a look at Aurifil. Large spools, 50 weight. That's what I usually buy. So what are they selling it for? Aurifil cones. Okay, that's 40 weight. I'm looking for prices. Here we go. Okay, $16.99. That's about $1 more than I pay in my area, but still not out of the way for Aurifil. And I imagine it's the same for Glide and their other threads. Let's take a look at their batting and see what they're selling. Are they selling prepackaged, or can you buy it by the bolt or by the roll? That looks like it's a bolt, 15 yards. You have 80/20, which is the type I use most of the time only. That's 96 inch. I usually get 108. 219/20. Yeah, that's not a bad price. We have Pellon. Dream Cotton. That's a batting I'm not familiar with. Quilter's Dream. Oh, it's Quilter's Dream. Okay, I have heard of that. Seem to have a lot of that in prepackaged amounts.
So the only thing they sell by or on a bolt looks like Hobbs's heirloom. Okay. I'll just click on 80/20. Yeah. So basically it looks like you have to buy it pre-packaged. Am I right about that? Let's go, oops, I went back to the wrong thing here. Let's go back one and just see. I'm not seeing it by, buying it by the, no, you can't buy it by the meter. You have to buy it in pre-packaged amounts. Well, I don't know if that's so bad. I think that's okay. They have hand sewing and handwork. Mega clearance. What do we got on sale? Let's see how much of a mega clearance it really is. Well, there's 135 products. Okay. Prices range. I guess, though, there might be some deals to be had here. Okay. Now, what about... I don't think I need to look at Notions because everybody has the same thing in Notions, right? Yeah. Kits and patterns. Okay. Let's check out their kits. See what they have to choose from. 43 products. Oh, they have the with glowing hearts one. How much are they charging for a kit on that? More than I paid for it at Quilt Quilting. Well, yeah, they have a fair collection here as well. Okay, and what else do I want to check out? I want to check out patterns. And they have them by design or by designer, as well as in general. So yeah, well, they seem to have a fair selection. Look like they have some garment too. Yes, they do. They also sell garment patterns. So yeah, lots there. Okay, now the big question is, we know that if you have over $200 and you live in Canada, it's free shipping. But what if you don't have enough for free shipping? Let's see if I can find their shipping policy. Here we go. Good. I'm glad to see that they have a separate section for that. And what's it say? Processed 1 to 3 business days. You will receive an email notification which your order has been processed with a tracking number, if applicable. Shipping within Canada, standard shipping is $14.99, orders up to $200 before taxes. That's good. Okay, and it's done by Canada Post. Okay, so their shipping is all right as well. Outside of Canada, they'll give you real-time rates by Canada Post. So that may be something you'll want to do some investigation in if you're outside of the country. Okay, very extensive information about their shipping, which I'm very happy to see, and does not look unreasonable. So basically, I think this is some place that might be worth ordering from, especially if you live in Canada. And prices seem fair on most things, and shipping seems to be pretty good as well. So yeah, that's Keystone Modern Creative. Might want to check that out. So that brings me to the end of this episode, and you're probably going, yay. But just a reminder that tomorrow is the first day of June, Wednesday, June the 1st, 2022, and that means it's time for Craft and Chat. So the link for Craft and Chat for the Zoom link is in the show notes below. It starts at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, my time, and I hope you can join me. If you've never joined before, it's very easy. You click on the link at that time, and we just spend about 3 hours or so, runs till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, working on whatever we want to work on.
and, having nice conversation. I always learn something from people, as you've heard me say many times before, and it's just fun, and I always look forward to it. And I find it relaxing, and right now I need some relaxation. So that's tomorrow, June the 1st, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you there then. Okay, so that's it for me today. Sorry about my brain fuzz here today. It's the technology. I will get a handle on this. It may take me a little time, but I will. And yeah, you have a great week as well. Go out, make something creative for yourself, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.